The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, on this Sunday morning. It's Mother's Day, and I want to thank all of you mothers out there for being a special part of our lives. I hope your day is going well. I hope you get all the flowers and candy and recognition that you deserve on this Mother's Day. Because this show right here today is going to be like a special show. I'm not going to keep you guys long today. I'm not going to talk about the topics I want to talk about today, because I wanted to make this all about the mothers and our society, especially when it comes to the minority community. And the reason why I want to make it that way is because, and I'm going to do this again on Father's Day, because I think this is needed. Our mothers out there are our wisdom. They're our ability to have a heart, to have love, to have a sense of thought that says, you know, this person is right, this person isn't right. Our mothers serve a very important role in the family structure. And today I'm going to give it to you people. I'm going to give everything you need to have an understanding of what's going on, especially when it comes down to American blacks, American minorities, and how we have went from a society that has one of the highest incarceration rates of our black boys and girls, and one of the highest single parent homes amongst all the races that make up this country. First of all, I want y'all to keep this in mind. Everything I say on my show, you can bet you can look it up. You can look it up. You can find it. It's not hard to find, just to do a little research on your own. But I like to bring it to you because, number one, I want to make a connection with my audience, and to let you know that when I say something, you can believe I already done researched it. I get the paperwork on it. That way, moving forward with my show, I already got that understanding with you, that I'm not gonna come with you no conspiracy theories and no bullshit. Our mothers are very important. They had to step up after the 80s during the Ronald Reagan era in the minority community. We were living in a system, in a society where blacks were undervalued in our United States communities. So we found a way to make money off of drugs and street life and crime and things of that nature to feed our families. Ronald Reagan started a war on drugs, which basically turned into a war against the black family. Out of all the races in this country, we have over 40% of single parent homes in the black communities. 40%. That's nearly half. I got the statistics right here. I got the statistics right here, people. It says race of child solo parent homes. Black community, 47%. Hispanic community, 23%. White community, 13%. Asian community, 7%. These are staggering numbers. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because, like I said, this is Mother's Day. I'm going to do it again on Father's Day. But like I said, this is Mother's Day. And our mothers out here, they had to step up to take control of the family structure. And now that a lot of black men are becoming conscious and figuring out that this is a war against the black family, it's hard for a person that's been in power for 30, 40, 50 years to turn over that power back over to the male structure. Then you have a something that's running parallel with the African American community, which is called a woman's liberation movement. Okay, now this whole woman's liberation movement is necessary because women are, and again this goes back to my mothers, women are underpaid. They do some of the same work that we men do, and they get pennies on the dollar compared to what we get. So now you have a situation where our society have already placed the female in black society at the head of the household. Now you have a women's rights movement that's sweeping the nation, that has involved and scooped up a lot of black women, and now they feel like it's enslavement to have the man as the head of the household. When you go to any other race, you go to the Mexicans, you start speaking to their wife, you might not necessarily know she married. First thing she gonna say is, no, you gotta talk to my husband. You go to the white community, knock on the door, start speaking business with the white woman in the house. She said, hold up. Wait till my husband get home so we can talk about this. You know, you go to the black community household, the person that runs that household is the mother. Compared to these statistics, 47% of the time. 47% of the time. So now when you have a situation in America where you have a check from the male side of the parent going to the mother, and if she has multiple fathers, she has several checks coming from multiple fathers coming to the household, and then she works and has a check coming to the household. She has total dominance over that household. The problem with that is when it comes to education, when it comes to children having an understanding in life, when it comes to our kids graduating high school, what happens is our kids don't have understanding. And to put this in perspective, for all my people like me to break it down for you. Most of the parents who have both mother and father at home, either married or they don't even have to be married, but have mother and father at home, most of their kids go on to graduate and have careers. It's in the statistics, people. It's facts. This is not made up. This is not something out the figment of my imagination. I'm not saying that single parent homes can't produce money makers. I'm not saying single parent homes can't produce businessmen and businesswomen. What I'm saying is the majority. The majority. I'm going to say it one more time. The majority of single parent homes, kids have a higher percentage of dropping out. They don't read. They read on a 5th or 6th grade level. Their understanding about things in life is not on par with everybody else. Okay? Now, these statistics, they do these statistics once every 3 or 4 years. They do it with the census, and I think the Census Bureau is coming back around again. These statistics are here for a reason. They're here so the lawmakers can find a way to manipulate our population, whether for good or bad. It depends on the administration. The administration can take these numbers. If you have a bigoted administration, they can take these numbers and find out what type of commercials to run in a certain area. The administration, if it's a decent administration, can take these numbers and find out where they need the most help as far as aid in a certain community. So it depends on what you vote in as an administration when you vote, which is going to take effect about how you live in your society due to these numbers. And now I'm finna get into something deeper. And the reason why you have such staggering numbers. You see, the male in the household is the knowledge. The woman is the wisdom. And they come together and give a child understanding in life. I'm going to say that again. The father or the male in the household is the knowledge and the disciplinary. I need to add that also. The mother in the household is the wisdom and the loving, caring part. You combine both of those together to give a child understanding in life. That's why they are able to push forward and deal with other races. They're able to push forward and start businesses. They're able to push forward and graduate from high school and go on to go to college because they have a completion in their life. Okay, now I want y'all to keep in mind what I just said. For all my truckers out there, I want y'all to keep that in mind because I know a lot of my truckers like to listen to me. And some of them, I got a lot of people that like to that's digging my show. Keep in mind those words, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because this is going to play an important role later on in the show. I'm going to read to you what knowledge is. Knowledge, which is the father, facts, information, skills, a train of thought that deals with facts, information, and skills. Okay? Wisdom, the mother, the soundness of a decision, the way to guide an emotional. In other words, mothers are the type of people who, that guy right there, I have a funny feeling about him. I don't like him. It's a vibe I'm getting off him. There's a difference. A lot of people out here are thinking that being wise is being knowledgeable. It's not. A lot of people out here are thinking being knowledgeable is being wise. It's not. Wisdom and knowledge are two different things. Wisdom and knowledge are two different things. That don't mean people who are wise can't be knowledgeable, and that don't mean people who are knowledgeable can't be wise. But they're two different things. And when you raise an adult from childhood to adulthood under one or the other alone, it's going to cause chaos and confusion. That's why you got a lot of goons running around here who are streetwise. They can spit the game to you. They know game. They know how to get over on people. But they're not knowledgeable. They're dumb as a box of rocks. Then you have on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are knowledgeable, book smart, but when it comes down to street sense and street savvy, they get taken advantage of. You got to have a complete understanding of this in order to move ahead with properly raising of a family. Because I just gave you an example of Mexicans and whites. Even the Asians, the Indian people that come here, they open up these corner stores. They got mom and dad working behind the cash register. You know, the son, he might come in on second shift and sweep the floor. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, when you bring it together, it makes a completion. It gives a person a wholeness that you can't get artificially with a check. You can't get this artificially. Now, when I get back off this first commercial break, again, I want to wish all my mothers a happy Mother's Day. And I hope your day is blessed. You know, today's wound up being a beautiful Sunday. I'm looking out my window, and today is a beautiful Sunday. It's not too cool outside. It's just right. And after you listen to my show, you know, I hope you don't go too far. You know, there's still a virus out there, people. But maybe go for a walk around your neighborhood. You know, mask up, put your mask on, go for a little stroll. Enjoy your day as best you can, but be safe. But when we get back off this commercial break, I'm going to go into more detail of how mothers in the minority community had to step up after Ronald Reagan destroyed the black family structure. And it's been a continuation of that even up until this day. And I'm going to prove it to you with the statistics when we get back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Trauma associated with it, one of the main traumas is, it tells white people that they are superior because of the lack of melanin in their skin. And then they find out suddenly that we've got a black president. That's traumatic. That's where their trauma is. Living a lie, finding out the truth is traumatic. Finding out now, recently, that within 30 years, white people will be in the numerical minority in this country is going to be traumatic.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
All right, people, we're back with the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. Now, I'm going to go back over the first segment of the show. We were talking about how our mothers play a big part in our family structure. They bring the wisdom that we need in order to survive out here 9 times out of 10 in these streets. They bring us the wisdom to survive out here when it comes down to people trying to get over on you, people trying to jip you, you know, people trying to beat you out of stuff. They bring an emotional value to the family structure that you can't duplicate. You know, and I want to pay homage to all the mothers out there who are struggling to make it. None of you have to. You know, but it has been thrust upon you. It has been thrust upon you in our society. And like I said before in my first segment, I'm going to go over what happened in the 80s with Ronald Reagan and this whole war on drugs, which turned into being a Confederacy dream to suppress minorities. They can't put you back in slavery. It'll be too many death. It'll be death in the streets. Not only will blacks rise up, but whites too, because not all whites are with this white supremacy. It'll be too much death in the streets. That'll never happen. But securing the wealth of this country for white people is an agenda. It's a real agenda that people need to get in their mind and understand, even white people that's not down with this or don't know nothing about this. It's an agenda. There's a woman who did an interview. I'm finna play clips of her interview. She sums it up. She's a white lady. Her name is Oral Small. And she's finna sum it up of what's going on in America.
And right now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book, The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute. And he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land.
And there you have it, people. This woman who have sat around these people in politics, this woman right here is speaking facts. She's speaking truth. And she's had death threats against her life. And she's at an age now to where she doesn't care about that. She's telling you, if you threaten me, bring it on. She basically says it. I'm not scared. I want to be with my husband. He passed away years ago. I want to be with him anyway. But she's speaking the truth about what's going on in America. Barack Obama scared a lot of white people in this country. They had already gotten used to seeing black mayors, black governors, black city councilmen, black police officers. It was already being indoctrinated that this is going to be normal to see blacks in politics, blacks in positions of power, blacks with millions. What she's trying to tell you is, when Barack Obama became president, it shook up a lot of people, scared them to the core. You had an intelligent black man who can't nobody say is out here committing no crimes. Nobody can say he's out here running the streets. He's a family man. He takes care of his kids. He's educated. And this was unbelievable to a lot of white people. It was unbelievable. And it shook them up. Now, this whole shakeup of some white people in this country didn't start with Obama. Like I said, this has been going on since the end of the Civil War. They never cut the head off the snake of the Confederacy. The Confederacy remained whole. They was defeated, and then they was sent back home without their guns, with a promise that they could never get back into politics. They can never take up arms against the United States. But that don't mean that the hatred stopped. That don't mean that they was unable to have kids and grandkids. That doesn't mean they was unable to pass along their hatred and their bigotry to their generations after them. And now it's spread out throughout America, all over the place. Look at Donald Trump, the son of an immigrant out of New York, the farthest place from the Confederacy in New York. And he just as bigoted as somebody out of Alabama, Mississippi. And I know y'all thinking, what does this have to do with mothers and Mother's Day? I'm finna explain it to you. I like to connect the dots. I like to bring my listeners all the way around and bring you back to the beginning. You see, Ronald Reagan was the first time that they actually had a president that won the office that was going to put in place policies to ensure the wealth of this country for the majority, which is the white people. They had got tired of seeing black men rise up wearing mink coats and diamond rings and walking into expensive restaurants with white people. They can walk into a Porsche dealership and drop cash down on a brand new Porsche and drive off the lot. So then this whole war against drugs came about. Like I said, I'm going to connect the dots for you. I'm going to bring you all the way back around to why this is so important for you mothers out there, especially you minority mothers. Follow along with me so you can get an understanding of what's going on and why your job as a single mother is so hard right now. So when they went on this whole rampant war against crime and drugs, whites was selling cocaine. Sometimes we would get cocaine from a white dealer. But it was the minorities who were snatched out as fathers out of the home. The fathers were snatched out the home and given 10, 20, 30 years. That's 2 or 3 generations of young black men and women that have to grow up under the head and leadership of their mothers. It created a cycle. It created a cycle. It created a cycle of men in the black community going to prison, and it created a cycle of single parent homes where you got black women saying, I don't need no man now. But all the other races, they still got fathers in the home. All the other races, they still go by what's normal. And then when you add in, like I said, this whole women's liberation movement, which, like I said, is needed because women are underpaid more than men are. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't rise up against certain things in the communities when it comes to dealing with women. But what has happened is them same white women that's marching with you black women about women liberation, at the end of the day, they gonna pack up their bags and go home to their husband and their kids. You are gonna pack up your bag and your flyers and go back home to your kids, minus the black father in the household. Think about that for a second. I'm gonna let that simmer on your soul for a second. Just pause and think about that. You see, this didn't happen. This didn't come about in some kind of bubble. I got the statistics right here. I'm finna read it to you. 1970, there was almost 10,000 now American single parent homes. You know why? Because back then, minorities, blacks, would have a mother, a father, they were poor, and about 6 or 7 kids, all by the same man. Okay, now think about this. Now whites did too. Whites had plenty of kids, 5 or 6 babies by the same man, the same woman. Now, what changed around 1980, 85, around the time Ronald Reagan went on this whole crime spree of trying to stop criminal activity, which is really code word for war against blacks, single parent home population went up. Not with the whites. Not with the white. It's steadily been climbing. But with the blacks, it steadily started climbing. It went from almost 10,000 homes, single parent. Around 85, it jumped to 15 to 20,000. And now we're damn near in the millions. I got the statistics right here. This is facts. You mothers out there are a very important part of our family structure. You had to step up when the powers that be snatched the men and the older brothers and the uncles out of the family structure. Y'all had to step up, especially the minority community. But now that a lot of men are becoming conscious, and a lot of black women are becoming conscious about what's going on and how these people are manipulating us as a society, it's getting to a point where some of you women out there, some of you mothers, are refusing to turn over the head of the household back to where it's supposed to be. I'm going to let that sit on your soul for a minute too. It's hard to give up a power structure that you've had for 20, 30 years. It's hard to give that up. You see, I got a policy now. I got a policy now. When I date a woman that has multiple kids and sometimes multiple baby daddies, I'll evaluate the situation. I'll ask her, how long you been single? If she say a long time and she's dated here and there, me and her, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. No, we can be friends, and when I say friends, no, I had to adopt this policy. And the reason why I had to adopt this policy, people, is because over the last 11 years, I'm gonna give y'all a brief story. I like giving my stories out to all my drivers out there, because you know we sit around the truck stops all over America, and sometimes we trade stories. This is how we talk. This is how we communicate with each other. So I'm gonna communicate it like this to you. Over the last 11 years, I've dated 5 women. Only one of them didn't have any kids. Now, I can tell you in each of those relationships where things went south when it came to the 4 women that had kids. The 2 main stories I want to say is one, the first story. Because this is the value that having men in the household bring. One woman, I had washed dishes. The mother had washed dishes. I told a 15-year-old girl, I said, look, go in there and wash the dishes. You know, we done already cooked, we done ate, go in there and wash the dishes. She looked at me like I slapped her in her face. Like she don't wash dishes. The woman's son, I think he was 16. I pulled the lawnmower out. I said, hey man, go out there and cut that grass. Because he quick to ask me for some money. You know, give me a couple dollars. I give him 10, I give him 20. So I pulled the lawnmower. I said, man, the weeds is getting high out there. The grass getting high out there. Go out there and cut that grass. He tried to ignore me at first and kept watching television. So I stood in front of television. I said, hey man, didn't you hear me talking to you? I said, go out there and cut the grass. He got up and stormed upstairs and went in his room. Then his mother came out. Instead of backing me up as the head of the household, she said, leave him alone. Don't worry about it. I'll cut the grass. I knew then the relationship between me and her was going south. I knew it was going bad at that moment in time. I'm going to go to another story. This is a whole different woman. Single parent. She got 3 kids. 2 of her kids were boys. One of them was 14, one of them was 12. And I'm bringing this up on Mother's Day. And I know some people are going to say, I need to do this on another time. No. I'm paying homage to the women out there, but at the same time, I got to speak to the black community. I'm going to give it to you raw. If I can't give it to you real or raw, I'm not going to give it to you at all. So, the other woman, I said, you know, I got something to talk to you about. Because what she would do, she would come home from work, and as soon as she walked in the house, she started screaming at her 2 boys. She wouldn't scream at the little girl. The little girl was the middle child. I think she was like 13. She had a child that was 11, 13-year-old, and I think a 14, 15-year-old. She would scream at the 2 little boys, and they would jump and run like they were rabbit scared deer caught in the headlights. The first 2 or 3 times she did it, I didn't say nothing. That fourth time she did it, she looked like she wanted to start screaming at me. I pulled her up. I said, hey, let me holler at you for a second. I pulled in. I didn't say nothing in front of the kids. Took her in the bedroom. I said, hey, why are you constantly screaming at these young men like this? You know, you don't want these young men to grow up in fear of women and in fear of taking their place at the head of their household. And her reply to me was, and I seen it in her eyes, it went south right there. I saw it. It was a flash in her eyes that told me, MF, I run the show here. But she didn't say that. I saw it in her eyes. She didn't say that. What she said was, man, you don't understand. I got to be hard on them boys and this and that, this and that. I said, look, you got a man in this house. What am I here for? She ain't had no answer. But I saw it. And sure enough, within a month or two, it was over with between me and her. Right now, to this day, she's still single. Still running around working, breaking her back. Now, one of her boys is incarcerated. I think he's incarcerated now. And I'm telling y'all these anecdotes and these stories for a reason. This is Mother's Day. And I pay homage to all the mothers out there who got to do it on their own and raise their kids on their own. This was thrust upon you during the 80s with Ronald Reagan. It was thrust upon you, and you stepped up to the challenge. The problem is, now that the statistics are out, and you see, as a woman and as fathers, because like I say, this same conversation I'm having right now with American people that's listening to my broadcast, I'm going to have this same conversation on Father's Day. The same one. Just in case somebody missed this show. Now that we as minorities, black men and black women, see the manipulation of how this whole thing came about, it's time for us to consolidate and come back together. Like everybody else. It's time to suck up that pride and release some of that power that you got. Spread it out. Because I can remember a time when my mother, my father told me, he pulled that lawnmower out. He said, man, go out there and cut that grass. And I tried it. I said, man, I'm from Chicago, man. I don't cut no grass. We don't cut no grass in Chicago. I'm living in Tennessee now. You know, mom done got with this guy. He's pretty, you know, to this day, he's my father. That man raised me. Melvin H.P. I love him. He's passed away several years now. That's my pops. A lot of people in West Tennessee know him. But when I first met him and he tried to get me to cut grass, I tried it. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't cutting no grass. Got me messed up. But my mother came in there and looked at me and she said, hey, you heard what that man said? Get your ass out there and cut that grass. That's what I'm talking about. The strength of a mother. The strength of a mother to be that backbone for her king. That's what I mean. I'm going to go into one more commercial break and I want to play some more of this woman, Oral Smalls. Because it's a fascinating interview she did telling how, you know, whites are manipulating society and especially the black culture.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. What we do in the present constructs the future. We called the Japanese, and you'll pardon me, but this is what we called them, slant-eyed little yellow We didn't say that about the Germans. After the war, we rebuilt Germany and Japan, and we get along beautifully with the Japanese. That was in 1945 that we finally won that war. How many years ago was that? Figure that out quickly.
I'm not a math person, but...
You're not a math person, but you know it wasn't that far.
Right.
And it didn't take 50 years for us to have peace with the Japanese and the Germans, even though we dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan. The Japanese hadn't killed 10 million people. Nowhere near that. We didn't drop any bombs on Germany.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
All right, people, we're back with the Daily Read, and I'm your host, Marcus Gentry. Now, once again, I'm going to go back over what I said in the first 2 segments, how our mothers are very important, because our mothers are our wisdom in our family structure. Our mothers are the backbone of the family structure. Our fathers are the head of the body. And with our mothers and our fathers, we get a complete understanding in life. If you don't have a complete understanding, I'm not saying those 1 or 2 cases where you're always going to have that person that just don't like what you're doing. They're going to get on here, they're going to say, oh man, I was raised by my mom, I'm successful. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about society as a whole. Not just you, not just one individual or one other person that you done known to be successful and he was raised by his mom. I'm not saying that. I'm saying black society as a whole. The statistics prove it. You raised in a single parent home, you more than likely are a dropout, headed that way, headed to a revolving door prison system. All kinds of problems in society. It's facts. Not talking about those 1 or 2 cases. I'm talking about our society as a whole, as a people. We got to get that understood. So now, like I said, I want to get back into what this woman's talking about, how some powers in white society have manipulated the system to oppress and suppress the black population while at the same time building wealth for the white population. Now, a 5-year-old white girl has done nothing, but she is benefiting off of what people like the Trump administration and the Reagan administration has put in place. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is all white people are not in the know of this. All white people are not bigots, are not racist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they are in benefit of what certain powers to be put the mechanician, they put the wheels turning in their favor. They had a commercial, I wish I could find it, where a coach got on the field with all of his students and he told all the black students, if you minority, you black, take a step back off the line. If you white, take 2 steps forward. Then he said, if you black and you live in a single parent home, take another 2 steps back. Kids took steps back. He said, if you white, you live in a society where you got both parents at home, take a step forward. By the end of it, you looked at that field, damn near all the minorities, including the Hispanics, were far behind the white students when he yelled go and told them to race to the finish line. That was one of the most powerful commercials I have ever seen put on TV. Powerful. I've never seen nothing like that. And it explained it simple in terms where anybody can understand it. Again, I appreciate and pay homage to the women out there on Mother's Day who have stepped up and had to take that burden on your shoulders to raise your family by yourself. But now that we are coming more conscious about what's going on in our society through shows like mine, through reading the statistics, through observing, now that we see what's going on, there's a situation now where the power has already been in the hands of the black mother and the minority mother so long, big mama and them, mama and them, they don't want to give the power structure back. It's like, man, you here for sex and pay bills around here. You better sit in the corner and drink your beer. That's it. Everything else, I run the show. And that's not how it goes in other races in this country. That's the reason why other races in this country are far outdistancing. It's not the only reason, but it's one that's piled on to many reasons that other races are far outdistancing minorities and blacks in this country. This is facts. This is not no conspiracy theories. You can look the paperwork up. I've already told you, I've dealt with single mothers for years on the dating scene. And it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. I had one woman I dated a few years back. Her daughter was nasty. I'm not gonna call no names. Daughter left her damn ring in the tub so thick. Man, it looked like she went outside and played in the mud. And her daughter was 14. So I goes in the bathroom trying to take a shower. I'm like, hey, man, whoever left this ring around the tub need to get in here and clean it. Didn't nobody say nothing. I went to the mother. I said, hey, who the last person took a bath in there? She said, my daughter just came out of there. I kind of knew, but I wanted to get confirmation from the mother because I saw her daughter's clothes on the floor in the bathroom. So I went in their bedroom. I said, hey, she still had her head wrapped up from taking a bath. I said, hey, man, go in there and clean out that tub so I can get in there and take a shower. She looked at me like I said something strange. Then her mother said, man, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You mothers out there have taken the burden of doing it by yourself so long, you don't know any other way. But you got to find another way to share the burden. If you don't, it's going to lead to the destruction of the black family, which has been it's been slowly creeping up on us. It's been slowly creeping up on us. And like I said, on Father's Day, I'm gonna give it to the fathers. This same conversation, I'm gonna give it to you. But we gotta have this conversation, because if we don't have this conversation, man, ain't nothing gonna change. It's going to be a revolving door for the men, the black men in prison. And it's going to be teen childbirth and poverty for the black mothers and kids out here on the streets. It's going to be crazy. And it's all being manipulated by powers in our government. I'm going to get back to this lady right here. I'm gonna get one more segment of her in. She's good. Y'all need to find this woman. Her name's Oral Smalls. ORALSMALL. Or Oral Smalls.
Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you exactly, almost exactly what he says. He says there are three things we can do to solve this. Number one, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and white women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth.
This woman is powerful. This is a white woman who is telling society that around the time of Ronald Reagan, there were men that was advising him in his cabinet, just like Donald Trump got Miller, that guy Miller that's advising him, who's a racist. Ronald Reagan had men and women advising him on how to manipulate the population to keep the power structure and the majority in white hands. Because the birth in white society has lessened and the birth rate in black society has increased. And then when you add in immigrants coming from other countries who are mostly minority immigrants, which they didn't want that. They didn't want Mexicans, they didn't want Africans, they didn't want Asians. They wanted immigration from white countries. But whites are satisfied in their country. They don't want to come here. They cool in Europe. They cool in France. They cool in Germany. They don't want to come here. They like America. They want to come visit, but they don't want to come here for good. The problem is minorities want to come to America and stay. And they didn't like that. So now you had a government around the time of Ronald Reagan decided to snatch the black father out of the family structure. We're going to take him out the picture. Put him over here. He can't have no more babies. That means his seed can't get implanted no more. He's locked up for 10, 20 years. Now, we're going to deal with the black woman. We're going to give her a child support check. Give her all kinds of services. She's working and getting her own check. And our population can start increasing again. You see, y'all got to understand how this is being played out. It's been played out like this for almost 30 years, 30, 40 years. Okay? This is not fiction. This is real. Again, our black mothers had to step up. They didn't abandon their kids. When this whole thing was put in place, this whole manipulation was put in place, our black women had to step up. And that's powerful. I commend that. That's powerful. But now, as times are starting to change and more black men are becoming conscious and more black men are being out in the streets less and less and being out here in society more and more as far as being businessmen, being millionaires, being this, being that, we starting to become conscious now and see the manipulation that's set in place. So now we're trying to get back in to take hold of our younglings. We're trying to get back in and take hold of our family structure. And it's being a pushback. There's a pushback. That's like, man, hold up. That pushback is causing a further division. It's causing a further fracture in our society. I just gave you 2 or 3 anecdotes. I just gave you. I already told. I got a white partner down in Mississippi. Me and him used to drive trucks together. I think I told this story on one of my other shows. I'm gonna say it again. I had a black partner of mine. He lives in Memphis. I was at his house. Pulled up at the porch. We were drinking beer. We were drinking some Corona. We ran out of beer. He said, man, let's go to the store and get something to drink. I said, okay. So me and my other partner, we headed towards the car. He said, man, hold on. Let me go ahead and tell my wife. Let me go ask. This specifically what I remember him saying, because me and my other partner looked at each other and we started laughing. He said, man, let me go ahead and ask my wife, can I go to the store? I looked, I was like, okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with telling your significant other that you finna go down to the corner store, get some more beer, you coming back. Just in case somebody call or something. You know, ain't nothing wrong with that. But how he said it, it was so childlike. It threw me off. So he came back to the car. He said, man, she in there tripping, man. I can't go. She came on the front porch and folded her hands across her chest and was looking at him like a kid. Like, you better not leave this house. I said, all right, man, we'll be back. So we went down there, got some beer, came back. Now, I goes to my white friend's house in Mississippi. This is almost a year later, 6 to 8 months later. And I'm down there. We had just got through running the load to Los Indios, Texas. And I had a little overtime. I can you know, kick it or whatever. So stopped by his crib. He had one of them big dually trucks he wanted to show off. And we ran out. He had some beer in there. We ran out of beer. I said, man, I don't want no beer. I want some whiskey. You know, I drank whiskey. That's what I drank. I drank whiskey. But I only drink on Sundays because I don't drive trucks on Sundays. So this is the only time I get to drink. So he said, all right, I know what a liquor store is. He said, let me go ahead and tell my wife and go to the store. Imagine now, I'm listening because I'm if anybody in America know me personally, I'm a very observant person. Sometimes I don't say nothing. I don't say nothing. But I'm watching. I'm listening. I'm seeing what's going on. I'm seeing everything going on. You don't know I'm seeing it. You think you probably done got over, you just did something slick. And the whole time, I'm already knowing what's going on. I just don't say nothing because it don't affect my pockets at all. It don't hurt me at all. I'm not going to say a word. That's on you. So, he goes in, tell his wife finna go to the store. We getting to do the truck. He's showing off his little gadgets and gadgets in the truck. We go down, find a little guy, sell some liquor, and come back. And the reason why I told that story is because there is a difference. It's small. It can be major. But there is a difference. A difference that affects our kids. There's a difference that affects the well-being of our kids. Because remember at the first of this program, when I first started talking, I told y'all to keep in mind, knowledge is the father, the mother is wisdom, and the child is understanding. Father and mother together, knowledge and wisdom gives the child understanding. So if you got a kid that has a father and no wisdom, they book smart, they can work all kinds of gadgets and gadgets, but they're easily manipulated. If you have somebody raised by their mother, which is wisdom, they wise as hell. They can tell you all the game. They can shoot crap. They can spot this and that. And they know they can tell you all the game. But you put a book in front of them and say, hey, man, read that verse right there. They can't even read. Because they thinking in their mind wisdom is knowledge. Being wise and slick is not knowledge. Having knowledge is not being wise and slick. Those are two different things. So remember, at the first of the program I told you, keep in mind, the father's knowledge, the mother's wisdom, and the child is understanding. In the minority community since the 80s, our young black boys and girls have been raised up under wisdom. The knowledge, the father has been taken out. The kid has been raised under wisdom. So now, all of these emotional young men and women out here shooting at people, throwing bricks through people's cars, keying up people's cars. I heard a young black guy, not too long ago, keyed up somebody's car. That's something a female to do. When you have a society of people in your country raised by one side, 47%. I got the numbers. 47% of black homes is a single parent raised by mother home. That's almost that's almost damn near even. So if you got a society of people living like that, crime rate spikes. Uneducation spikes. The lack of knowledge spikes. Revolving door prison sentences spike. And my mothers out there, you guys had to do it when Ronald Reagan first implemented this policy of giving black men 20, 30, 40 years in prison for drugs that's been around since the beginning of time. Crack and cocaine been around for decades and centuries. White people with wigs on in Europe used to have snuff cans full of cocaine. Opium. The Chinese that helped build the railroads across America, they had what you call opium dens. Drugs been around for a millennium. They didn't start cracking down on drugs until minorities start making good on it. But it was all a disguise. It was all a plot. It sounded good. We're going to stop the scourge of drugs. We're going to do this. We're going to do it. Sounded good. But you're not going after everybody. You're going after blacks. Whites were selling just as much cocaine as blacks. Whites get locked up for cocaine, they might get 2 years. A black person get locked up for cocaine, they giving him 20. You just eliminated the black man out of the family structure for 20 years. You eliminated the white man for 2 years, 3 years. He still has time to get back into his family. You just eliminated the black male out of the household. Put him over here. He can't have no more babies, which means his population can't grow, and he can't teach his young men to be men. How you gonna leave it up to a woman who has done her best? This is Mother's Day. But how you gonna leave it up to the mother to teach a young man how to be a man? Women don't shave. But I commend you women on Mother's Day for stepping up to the plate. Like I said, I'm going to do this show again on Father's Day. Because we fathers got to hear this too, just in case there's people out here who don't catch this show. But we've come to the end of my show, and I hope y'all learned something today, man. You know, I do this for the love of it. I'm independent. Nobody pull no strings here. This is the Daily Read. I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Business.